for you, kiddo.
Yeah.
So maybe to begin the tape, we can start about how you first came to Stanley.
Well, when I first came to Stanley, it was back in the 20s. So it's been quite a few years ago. And we came up to fish, and my brother, my dad, and another person, and myself. And then,
Tell them what kind of crate you're driving.
well, it was a Master 6 Buick, about a 26 model. And at that time, the old road, why, it came over all right, but most of the cars would have to either back up some of the places to get up, or they'd have to drag logs down coming down the hill because of the brakes.
Okay, can we hold just a second?
I spent 72 years here in Idaho. But
My mother marched in the parade when Idaho became a state in 1890. She was 8 years old. And she'd come from Switzerland when she was 4.
No, my folks came here in around 1910, something like that. Dad came from Washington down here, and my mother came from Ohio. And Dad had been from Indiana originally. And but anyhow, we came up here. All the time we could come, whenever we got to hunting up here back in the 40s.
They settled in, our family, his family settled in Magic Valley, and mine came there in about 10 in Magic Valley, between 10 and 14.
Can you raise your hands just a teeny bit? No, not a lot. Just a half an inch. Don't let your shoulders, honey. Just a tad. So you come.
But and we well, and just see how we will work it. Back in the 40s, of course, she was married. I was married to another lady, and she passed away of cancer. And then we met. She'd been married. We met in what was it? The last of 50s, wasn't it? We met 50s, very 60, very 60. And we had two. I had 2 boys, and she had 2 girls. And we put them. There was all 2 out of high school and 2 in high school. We put them together, and they, 2 of them lived. The girls lived in Twin Falls area, and one boy lives in Boise, and the other lives at Tacoma. Our oldest boy was a head trainer for Chicago Cubs for a while, and then he finished up with Seattle Mariners, and now he's with the Pacific Lutheran College in Parkland. He's a training instructor there. He teaches athletic training, and is also the trainer for all the athletics there.
So what year was it again that you came to Stanley?
We came up here in '64 and bought, and then we came in '65, and I built quite a few buildings around, and then in '68 we came up to stay, and we've been here since then.
And you're here all year round?
Yeah.
What kind of activities do you do during the
Well, when I was younger, I snowmobiled and stuff like that, and of course we was active in all of the organizations. Back in '70, before that, back in the '60s, they started talking a park, and the people, there was a Chamber of Commerce then here, and at that time, there was people here in town that wanted to park, and the people on the outside, the ranchers and all, didn't want to park. And most all the ranchers that was up here at that time kept their stock here. They didn't move them out. There was a lot of stock came in all right, but there was the ranchers that lived here had their stock and kept them here. And so they organized a Sawtooth Valley Association, because they, instead of staying in and fighting the people in the chamber on the park, they organized the other. And so when we came up, we was we got into that organization. I was in both of them, but I seen what was going on. So we went to the Sawtooth Valley Association and fought the park and took the lesser of two evils, and that was national recreation. And we won out against people. Well, the Sierra Club was one of the biggest organizations that came in here for a park. They wanted to park in here in the worst way. And we spent, maybe $350 is all we had to spend, and we beat the whole works out. We had hearings in Sun Valley, and everybody that represented anybody could get up and speak. Well, they let us have about 3 minutes, and they let the Sierra Club have 15. Our representatives here was Frank Church as a senator and Orville Hanson as a representative. Well, he was doing whatever Frank Church wanted. And Frank Church and Cecil Landers wanted to park here in the worst way. And we kept it from going to park. And in the years since then, why we've more or less, well, after we won that, then the chamber, the people that was in the chamber down here got out. And so we went back to the chamber and done away with the other organization. And now we've had a chamber ever since. It's been active, and maybe not too big at times, but it was still here and worked. And now it looks like we're going to be able to work with Sun Valley, Ketchum, and Haley, and those towns where we never did before. Mm-hmm. They came up here. Well, I went down there one day to a meeting, and the owner of the Sun Valley and his manager and all of them was sitting there, and they made the comment that they wanted to work with us because we had scenery over here that they didn't have, and they had the accommodations, but they just wanted the people to be able, like they're doing now, bring them over here on buses and let them see the country and stay for dinner. And if some of them wanted to stay, fine, but then they bust them back over to Sun Valley, which is fine. And we've done quite a bit of business with them in the rock shop from those people.
So,
and,
was this the kind of park they were making it for what Yellowstone is?
Yeah. They wanted it just to close it off. You ought to. It was back there in the 71 that we had the hearings over there, and there was some of the most asinine statements made at that meeting. Some of the people wanted to fence it all off and just let few come in.
How big was the land?
Well, what is it? We've got, what the heck is it? How many acres are in this?
I don't know. I could look it up.
700,000.
All of a park.
Well, it's a big area. See, it takes in.
Till I get another piece to work on, I've got this one done.
Go back and get some more.
I've run out.
See, the park starts over there where North Fork, the headquarters is. And it comes on up through and comes over Galena Summit. It doesn't take in all of that Alturas Canyon, but it takes in part of it. It takes in, it keeps growing toward the divide up here between here and the Payette River. And when it gets on top, then it just goes right down the rim till out here, about 12, 14 miles west of town on 21. It comes down through there where there's a little divide there that the water on the other side goes to the Middle Fork, and on this side comes back to the Salmon River's main salmon. And that is the dividing line. Then it goes out north here and swings back down to the river here, and and stays within a quarter of a mile all the way down the river to pretty near to where Cypress is at down there. Cypress is outside of it. And the mines and stuff up on Yankee Fork is all on the outside. Then it cuts across, takes in East Fork, and all the Boulder Mountains and the peaks on the headwaters of the Lost River, and then it cuts back into headquarters over there. That's the area it takes. And now the Sun Valley groups and they've come. They wanted to park at one time. They've changed their mind. They said, well, they don't want to see a park. They'd like to see a little more, maybe a wilderness area. All of this area back here is wilderness. And this back here isn't wilderness. They're trying to make a wilderness. So they'd like to get some of them to make a wilderness out of that, you see.
That's really tough, because you can't do anything in the wilderness.
Well, that's what we've got. I will show you a chart we've got out in the laundromat comparing a park and the National Recreation. Now, in the National Recreation, they like to have you sign in so they know where you're at, and if they have to hunt you up for some reason or other. But you can go any place you want to. You don't have to stay on any trails, any roads, or nothing. On the park, you have to stay on designated trails and roads. You can't go any place except on them. And this other way, you've got the whole country to go to.
Well, it's difficult economically for Custer County, because Custer County is already 95% federal land, and so that doesn't relieve much for the people to make a living off of.
That's true. How many property owners in 1971 at the time you were having that problem?
Raise your hands just a teeny weeny.
How many property owners?
Still to fit it to my Bible.
About the same amount as there is now. The Forest Service, the Park Service, they'd have come in. They'd have bought all of the ranches and everything out. And they told us, I asked the head guy out of Seattle, he was here and telling us, I asked him, I says, what are you going to do with all these meadows up here? He said, within one generation, we'll own everything up here. And I asked him what he's going to do about the meadows. I says, there is no natural meadows here. They're all man-made. Or we'll hire somebody to irrigate them. You know what happened about 3 or 4 years, they decided that there's a lot of foolishness. They just let's go to sagebrush. And then I said, well, what are you going to do about Stanley? Oh, we'll go down the river and build a new town and just freeze you out. And so that was the reason we don't want to park in here. We know what their plans are. And they even stated that they would close 75 and put in a road that is kind of halfway in the engineering thing. Now, I'll go up Pole Creek and over the...
Excuse me, just Freda, would you get maybe a nice picture of your family and put it there on top of that phonograph where that little set is so I could see it?
Right here, or up?
Yeah, right.
You're asking geology questions.
Sure, anytime. Running.
You're rock hounding. You're running, Jack?
Yeah.
You're rock hounding. How long have you had an interest?
Well, that started when we built this building, or bought this building, and made the laundromat out there and the post office there. We had the back porch, and her brother took her to retirement. And he'd been in it for, well, that was in about 74, something like that, so he'd been in it 20 years or better. And we decided when he didn't have anything else to do, he'd just welcome up here and set up a shop. And that's when we got started, and that's when I got interested in it. And, of course, I've done lots of different things, and I was raised in a blacksmith shop and a few things like that, so none of that kind of stuff ever bothered me. And then I've done even engineering work on highways and stuff like that, carpentered. So I've always used my hands.
What are your hobbies now for the winter months?
Oh, I've been building cabinets for in here, and I've got a shop out behind out there, just sitting by that I've got electric welders, acetylene welders, table saws, and the whole works in there. And when the weather's not too cold, I'll work out there. And so it's, I'm not in need of anything to do. I can figure out lots of things I like to do, and so I just, it's like some of the friends around here, they're more or less retired and you haven't got anything to do, and it's set and gripe.
Did you run a laundromat?
We own a laundromat, and was hoping the post office would move out this spring, but they're not going to move out till fall. And we've still got 2 more years of contract with them, but they're going to build across the street, and so they'll be moving out, and I'll move the rock shop up in there if somebody don't come along and buy us out before then. We're wanting to sell out. We have been wanting to sell out for about 4 years, 5 years. And back down the lower part of the country where it's a little warmer in the wintertime, not quite so long winters. It doesn't bother us. We don't mind the snow or the cold weather. But we just like to do a few other things we don't get to do now. And,
So you have another little enterprise, your picture of Stanley, 1910 to 1936?
We bought the negatives and a lot of the prints from the fellow that we bought the property from, and he had them. And he came in here in 48, I believe it was. And he'd bought the camera and stuff from another fellow, Jim Soul.
Bill.
Bill, huh?
Bill.
Bill Soul. And the camera was one of those type that you wound it up, got your light meter all set up on your lights, and
Your distance.
and it took a picture. It wound the thing, moved it over to where it took, and got in line, took another picture, and that's where you can see 36-inch pictures. He took 2 or 3 segments of that all in one unit, and then printed them. And we've been getting them reprinted over at Boise. Yeah. Now, this is a picture of the up on where the airport used to be up there. And before any trees up there. This here lone tree set up there, and there's now quite a lot of trees up there.
And what year is that?
Oh, I can't tell you what year that is because there's no, but it's back quite a long while ago. We can pick out different buildings here, but
Go around so Angel can see it.
I was trying to look and see whether there was anything on there, but there isn't. Oh, this building wasn't there then. This building was built in '52, so it has to be back in the earlier than that. I judge it's back in the 30s somewhere. This is an old dredge that was built up on Stanley Creek, and Martin Pollock says when they started to move that, it sunk. It was so heavy. It wasn't a walking one. It wasn't a floating one. It was just they had to skid it.
Mm-hmm. By the year, that was 1920.
Well,
Floating.
let me think. I was trying to think. Martin, if he was here, he went home, and so he can't. But he could tell you instantly just exactly when that was, and it has to be back in the 19. Well, I would say somewhere in the 30s, because Martin came in here in about the same time that I ever came in here in the 20s, and he's been in and out ever since then. So, and he knew that. So I'd say this is in the 30s here.
There's pictures over there in that box of the long one down right there by that.
Yeah. Beyond here is one street just over to the west of us here that goes back around. That was the original road coming in here at one time.
Tell a little more about it.
Well, they up the river here, just about a mile and a half, there's a spring up there. And
point on there?
I don't know. No, I can't, but I can show you the road. This road right here is where the road came in, and it's still there.
A little flare on there.
Yeah, and it goes back up here about a mile or such a matter, and that's all on Peeva's property, Gerald and his brothers. And it comes back off the highway up here about a mile and a half, something like that. Maybe 2 miles. You can't see it from here because it's. This is a toll bridge right here, and there was an older lady that owned the hotel up here. And there was another fellow on the other side. Well, when the sheep would go through there, they'd charge them so much a head to go through, but they were standing back in some kind of underground buildings there with sheep hooks, and they'd grab a lamb every so often from both sides. And that's the way they was helping themselves beyond. And there's quite a few bodies buried around here at different places that they have no evidence of at all until they get to digging. Now, Bob Danner over here was moving some buildings around here a couple of years ago, and he dug up a body. Nobody knew anything about it. And this gal's that owned this, Banner is what their name was, and her husband was buried here somewhere, nobody knows for sure.
Now, is this the hotel that still stands?
No,
The Sawtooth?
no. This here, you know where Ron Gillette's property is over here? The blue buildings and the river, the Triangle Sea? Well, this building is sitting right about where he's got his little cabin sitting
just above this draw. This is a draw that runs through here. And
Could you say that again if I'm in on the picture about Ron?
this is setting on the east end of Ron Gillette's property there. It's where these little cabins are sitting. And this is a draw called Meadow Creek. It goes, no, wait a minute. No, that isn't Meadow Creek. Meadow Creek's over here, coming in here. This here, this is Valley Creek here, you see. And Meadow Creek comes in over in here. And this was just a non-named creek that runs year around there. I don't think anybody ever did put a name on it. And that draw that was just the other side of, it's right in here, just the end of the street up here.
This is 1910.
Yeah, this is 1910.
How many buildings would you say?
Well, there's only about 3 or 4 at the most there. There's, I think, a building here, and there's one here, and this in here. This is a hotel here. And it was still standing when we came in 65. But they tore it down because it was getting racked and ruined. There had been a hotel there. There had been a schoolhouse. The school had been kept in there and different things. And probably gambling at a lot of the time, too.
What was the population?
Back then? Well, when we came here in 65, 49 population. And it's increased from there to 100 now. So I judge that there's probably maybe 25 at the most. There was, oh golly, I don't know when nieces named Merritt's and the whole works, they all have been in here a long time. 1910, you see, I don't know whether they was here all that time. Tuffy McGowan, which is Edna McGowan's husband, at sometime in 50.
Okay.
And at that, I think they counted dogs and everything else to get enough population. You had to have, was supposed to have 100 population to be chartered, you see, and they didn't have it. And we could be considered now enough population, but you see, we were still not enough population to be nationally recognized on our weather reports. I think you have to have 500 people in the location to be that.
We still get a lot of weather
Oh,
reports.
sure we do, but then it's because they've got Harris have always had somebody that would take the weather report, and the state or government give them all the equipment, and they turn it in every day.
When did Harris come into the valley?
Bill Harris bought back in the 40s. He bought one house, and he's remodeled it so many times that it's you wouldn't even recognize it today. It's right on down this street here. It's a big building on the south side of the street.
Okay, you want another map, you say? Another thing.
See? And kind of hard for me. Let's see. Now this is up here in our part of town now. And this is still the hotel that is down here at the crossing. Here's your crossing going across here. And I don't know whether the Ace of Diamonds was then or not. It was a dance hall that they used in a cafe. And they tore it out just before we came up, I think. It was across the street where the post office was going to be.
So this is Ace of Diamonds Avenue?
I think this here street here is the road that goes back, the original road that came in here, going back through here. And the Ace of Diamonds is here, and then this is what we call Shorty Conyers now, and it's where the clinic sits. There's one building left there that was there then, and it sits right this side of the clinic down there. And that road goes right on back through, we call this the Nice Street, I guess it is, yeah. That's Nice Street going back through here, through town. And then we named this street here, this is the highway now. The highway goes through there. And the street that comes, the first street here that's right out in front of the building, we call it the Ace of Diamond Street. Hall Street, Critchfield Street back there. Those don't show on here, but then that gives you an idea about what happened. Now, these 2 points here where they took them are still over there, and you can see them from here. And just 2 rocky points each. I think Freda took some pictures last summer from about at the same place. We didn't get as big a picture.
What's in the center? Is that the?
That's the same here, Jack.
Yeah, this
That's
is
here?
this right here.
Put it
That-
up underneath it so we can see both of them, would you?
You know what's going to look neat? If we go up to those rocks in the spring.
Yeah.
This is the east part of town here. This is over there, and this is right in here where we at right now. This street here, Nice is across just a catty corner across the street here. We're sitting right over in here somewhere right now. And this, and then of course it's built in all of back up in here, built in now where it wasn't before. You can see if when we turn this other over and compare them, you can see the difference there.
Why don't you go ahead and do that?
Okay, there's a winter one here. Does that
Yeah,
come?
that is the same as this one here.
Okay, you want to show the winter scene, Jack?
Sure.
Winter 1926.
See, actually, what we're doing, we're looking at it just the opposite direction. Because this is the east part. This is going down toward 21. And this is going out west of town.
And what year is this?
26.
Why don't you just say this is the winter of 1926?
This is a picture of 1926. Winter picture of 1926. And of course, it's even in a real heavy winter. This here hillside over on the other side won't have too much snow on it. You can see how bare this is here. You see in here. You can get down across there with some of them will ride down across there with snow machines, but it's just a little rough. A lot of rock on it. Now you can see here.
Lay the one below it if you want, just Nick.
Yeah, let's see. This is still the road going up, the original road.
Now, why don't you start at the bottom? This is the, which, just say the 1, 2, 3.
All right, this is 1910, and this is 1926, and this is 1936. And of course, there's quite a few more buildings here now than there was in any of these others. And this is the old Banner Hotel here, and this is the highway, the road that came in here. These are the buildings here. This is the hotel that's up here right now, up at the end of the street. And this one here, I think, is Ace of Diamonds. And of course, that was 14, 15, 16 years before this building was built, so it don't show. Even the rock garage over here was not even built then.
Okay.
Okay, I'll just sort of pan along it here for a minute.
If we had this here sitting over on the other table, we would have it just exactly right. It was showing this here's the east, going east, and that going west.
Okay. Why don't you talk about, say when that is and what it is?
This is Laura Stanley in 1926, or 36, in 1936.
You tell just a little about it, just so we
Well,
get some idea.
I'm gonna have to
Get around on this side.
Yeah.
This
Yeah,
is
I
fine.
can
Just
see
come
it.
around like this. That's
Yeah.
fine.
All right. This is Wooley's buildings back here. The old Wooley, he's dead now. He's grounded in the river here, but they still own it. These cabins through here, here's the store down here. And this is what is like Knotty Pine is now. This is on up to here. You see over here would be about where Redwood is at. And this is where Fish and Game building, and maybe even Arlene Thunderberg's new home. This building here, I think, belongs to Markley or Markle, isn't it, honey?
Lloyd Markle had that
No,
store.
no. The woman that owns that down there, her son's here, across from, right there beside Marquis. Yeah, they own that now. And it's just added more buildings, but it seems there.
Okay.
Now
This one's interesting, Jack.
that their picture is of a cattle roundup out here in the basin, Stanley Basin, and there's some of the people that's recognizable there. I can't tell you which is which there, but there's some of the Shivers there, and probably some of the Pivas. I can't tell you when that was taken, but it had been that long ago, but then I judged practically.
Freda, would you like to tell us what's going on here?
Okay, these are pictures that were that C.A. Gregory sold from this building when he had a store and the post office was in here. And this is one of Stanley Lake. And for example, for the price, this was $1, and the people could go through this selection of pictures and pick out what they wanted to buy, and he would sell them to them. And one that didn't have the holes punched in it. This is one of Stanley Lake.
What I'll have to do, can you turn back so I can go through those again? I wasn't quite close enough there. Okay, go ahead and do it again for me.
Okay, these are pictures that C.A. Gregory sold from this building when he had it as a grocery store, and the post office was in the corner in there. And there was not living quarters in this building. It was just an empty warehouse back here. And this is reflections of Stanley Lake, and these were made with the old camera that moved and set itself and made these long pictures in about 3 or 4 selections. And this is another one of some old things in Stanley Lake, on Stanley Lake. Going too fast?
Yeah.
I'm not sure what this one is.
That's Little Redfish.
Little Redfish. And this is just a mountain picture.
That's off of Galena Summit.
Maybe you could say that too.
Okay, this one is off of Galena Summit.
I think it was taken off there at the not
This picture example is a silhouette of Redfish Lake, and he had a quarter on that picture.
Can we turn back to that just a second? How much was that?
25 cents.
Okay.
Now, do you want me to skip ahead to some of these others that are a little bit better?
Redfish there.
It's Redfish Lake, Custer County, Idaho. Now, some of these are in here sideways.
Freda, could you?
So I don't know how,
Now these, you should be turned up the other way.
you want to try to turn those over?
Yeah, I think we can skip that.
Oh, you want
Okay.
to? Okay.
Just go to some of the other long ones.
They're
No,
kinda
it's no
curved.
buildings.
Nothing that are anything exciting.
Geology things are never.
No, they
Things
don't
that
change.
isn't
No,
that
they don't. They don't change
Okay,
over
you can
there.
get out of the
These are
way.
just,
Thank you.
they're just black and white. Whoops, fall down. This is a view of the Sawtooth from the Idaho Rocky Mountain Ranch.
Right up there at the lodge. This is a flagpole right here.
Hold it there just a second.
And these are the buildings now down at the ranch.
Where's that?
The
These
lower
buil-
ranch.
This is the Rocky Mountain buildings down at the ranch down
The
there.
lower ranch. Lower part.
This is the Rocky Mountain Ranch's buildings right here, and this is the flagpole up at the up at the lodge.
Okay.
Here's the lake right here that's there now too. This is a road coming in here that comes into the lodge.
Okay.
Now this is the lake and the lodge here now. Here's your flagpole. They've remodeled up there and done quite a lot of work up there. See, it's, well, since the girl took over. When the old man was still alive, well, he just used it as a kind of a guest place.
And forget the rest of this stuff. I don't think there's
we have this
much anything else in here that's any different than what.
You want this here?
Okay, yeah, here's and got a hold still.
Yeah.
This is an old picture of Redfish Lake and the docks that was made by Bill Soule that was here before C.A. Gregory.
It looks like it's kind of foggy, don't it?
Have you any more information about that at all, or anything that you can think of?
No,
No.
don't have. This is the docks. This is the point. Gerald, hold this in. This is the point out here where they call the point campground.
Well, that was the original campground on this point here. And this here, ever since this was opened up, why they've had campgrounds here. Then back in, it was 67, they made campgrounds across the lake and took this and made it into a campground for overnighter tenters and stuff like that. And brother and I worked for a Fairbanks in Twin Falls, and they put in a water system out here, and then we built a sewer system and bathrooms and toilets and stuff out there
Where was that?
on Redfish
Can you
Lake.
show kind of where it was there?
It's out in this here area right in here, back in the trees here, and it goes clear down at the point, and it's a nice campground.
Is that just where the dock is now?
No, this dock is still there, only it's made up a lot better, but the
Tilt it up towards me, would you?
Let me just steady my hand on
the
that.
new boat dock is clear across the lake from there, right straight across the lake. They've got a wide, one that's 5 or 6 feet wide, 7 feet wide, that's out on the shore there at the lodge now, and
Okay.
Oh,
Mamas probably started nearly between 16 or 17 years ago at least. This was some of the original Mountain Mamas, and we gathered in the old what was called the Armada Cafe, and brought our handiwork in the wintertime and just sat around, and maybe we'd have lunch or just drink coffee and do whatever we had to do by hand at that time. And then Brady Ebersol decided that it would be a good idea to try to have arts and crafts fairs up here because she had been to one. And so we tried that. The first little one was held under the awning or whatever that is over there at the Mountain Village Lodge. And then after that we moved to the big green area, and our arts and crafts fairs have been very successful. And we've had people all over the Western United States come to and participate in these shows. And then we started making some quilts to raffle off, and I have some pictures of those if you'd like to see them.
Let me see the picture a little bit more there.
Okay.
Just kind of hold it up by you. You can, why don't you just hold it up in front of you so I can shoot it. Here, that's it. Talk about just a little more if there's anything you can think to say.
Well,
What they're wearing,
this was in 1976 when we were celebrating the second anniversary of the United States, and so we dressed in old dresses, And that was what we wore, and we wore at the Arts and Crafts show at that
Were
time.
you in there?
Yes,
Did you,
I'm right here.
would you say that again?
Well, we dressed in old dresses in 1976 when we celebrated the second century of the United States. And this is Phyllis Williams here. She's a pioneer in this, or more or less a pioneer. She taught school here for years ago. And this is Ruth Neese, and her husband was a pioneer here. This is Bonnie Hansen, and her husband was born and raised here. This is Brady Ebersol, who had the idea for the Arts and Crafts show. This is Flora Sullivan, and of course the Sullivans were old-timers here. She was married to one of the Sullivans then.
Which is you?
And this is me,
Hold that up high so we can get a comparison.
from dark hair to gray.
How has it changed since then?
I think we have a different type of people in here than what we had then, but I think that's good too. I don't think it's a detriment to us.
In what way?
Oh, well, the old timers used to have a lot of grudges and fought with each other. I think in the wintertime, we noticed that before snowmobiling became popular, that there were a lot of, I won't go to this party because someone is going to be there, or that type of thing. And, of course, those people, a lot of them moved away and passed away. And so it's a more open society and more accepting of whoever people value you for your very self and not what you might have or who you're friends of or different things like that. I think it's changed that way.
Oh, okay.
Let's go behind me.
Okay.
I know you're cuter than I am, but that's...
Okay, you want to show the next picture?
Okay, this was later when the Mountain Mamas there were more of us. And a lot of these people have moved away. Stanley society is quite...
Can you folks get on this side of me? So she looks always on this side of the camera. Can you stand this side? Are you standing for some reason?
Well, I thought you wanted to look at the
No,
camera.
but I want to look at me. And she's looking at you.
Sorry about that. Stanley society is quite fluid, I think, because there'll be people come and work for a while, and then they'll think they'll stay the winter, and they don't realize that in the wintertime there's not much going on up here, and then they leave. And so next year you have a new population, and so on. And so, as I say, most of these people are not here anymore. And so we have a new group, and it just continues on, and we continue on with the Mountain Mamas.
Is there a particular reason why they leave? Is there a reason for the
Well,
change?
their jobs change, or their husband gets transferred, or they go to school, or they move and live somewhere else.
Do many come back?
They come back to visit, yes. They don't come back to live, but they come back to visit with you.
Did you want some
Okay.
Okay, now you might
What
want
do I
to
do?
Okay.
That was one of the first pictures that quilts that the Mountain Mamas made, and we donated our own fabrics out of our own thing. We picked out our color scheme, and then each lady went home and maybe took some pieces that they had and joined with the other pieces and pieced these blocks. And so that's just a variety of things. And of course we raffle these off, and we use that money for different community projects, and we have put over $20,000 into the community building in the way of kitchen, carpeting, paint, and things like that, and supplies for the kitchen in the community building. We also have donated money to the ambulance and blankets for the ambulance and people who've had disasters up here and things like that. We're just a community service organization, and that's what we do with the money from the quilts that we have. This is another one. And our color scheme, oh, that's another one. And as you can see, our color scheme's developed a little better. And instead of using every one scraps,
You can point to things if you wanted.
we developed our color schemes better.
I'm sorry.
Well, this is a little bit later, and we had developed our color coordinations a little bit better. And this is taken against an old log cabin here in Stanley. And we did this one in 1981. This is one that one of the girls' grandmothers had cut that quilt out, or the pieces out, and she sent it up here, and we pieced that one, and that was the first one we tried to do of that type, and it was kind of difficult. This is last year's quilt. We actually raffled that off this spring.
This fall, wasn't
Made it this spring and raffled it off in 1988. This was a double wedding ring. That was the first attempt for that. Now I'll just put up some of these different ones for the different colors.
I see it now. We got to get that.
Yeah, Sawtooth Mountain Mamas quilt. This is a quilt that was made out of all wool pieces that was given to us, and we raffled that off too. And it had dark green in it, and it doesn't show up quite as well. Nearly all these quilts are about 84 to 88 by about 105. This one happens to be by 118. So they're all queen-size quilts.
When you lay it there, can you try to get the bottom even with the bottom of the book, so rather it's kind of an angle? There you go.
The girls get together and cut these pieces all out for the quilt, and then we each take so many blocks home and piece them, and then we get together and lay the quilt out in the design that we'd like to have, and then we take so many blocks home again and piece our section, and then we get together and put it all together. And then we put the top and the middle, which is the bat and the back, together, pin them together, and then we put them on a quilt frame, and then we spend the rest of the winter quilting the quilt. Okay, that's it.
Okay.
I quilt, mend things for people.
Here, I'll hold that one. Paul.
Where do you work, right back in there?
Well, yes, I have. This is where my main work station is. I have 2 sewing machines, and I use this one mostly for mending, and that one is for piecing quilts and doing better type sewing. And then I do copper enameling on this desk here, and tool leather here. Also knit and crochet. When I first came up here, I knew that I was going to have other things to occupy, to keep myself busy in the wintertime. So I took up for people all year round up here. And the business comes in through the laundromat. And this is what I usually use this machine for, is the mending. And this one I sew quilt blocks and other sewing on. And this is a project that I have in progress now, and these are the parts to a double wedding ring quilt. But that will all be hand pieced. It isn't sewn on the machine.
Also already sold too.
Yeah. I do copper enameling on this desk. I clear it all off and use a propane torch and do copper enameling here. And I also do leather tooling and back in this section. This is my work section. Well, that's my collection of stuff.
Why don't you get, can we get Gerald here, or Gerald? Can you come in here and go over with your wife there for something like that? And just, have you anything you'd like to say now off your own head? Just.
Well, I'd like to have you see our church up here. We built that, golly, I don't remember now when I started that. But we've got windows in there depicting the mountains that a young couple in Boise college when they was doing their leaded glass. They took the pictures of this and then went and put it into windows up there. And then, of course, we've done a lot of work around here, like working on that and working on building the clinic down here. And there wasn't too many of us that really actually worked on the community building, but there again, it's a community project. We hired an outfit out of Boise to put the building up first, and then the finishing of it has all been done by local people, either hired or free gratis.
My battery's finally tired.
I have a battery.
I've got another one.
Do I get this quilt the last time?
Sure.
Okay,
But,
Now I want to tell about that because that's not a Mountain Mama quilt. That's
that's your own.
it's Kathy and Florence Newstadter. Florence Newstadter and I made, and we entered it in the quilt show in Paducah, Kentucky. It didn't win anything, but it's our first attempt. This part is called a Mariner's Compass, and it's called a medallion quilt. This pattern is clamshells. I don't know what this one is, but that's about all I can say about it. It is an original design.
Entered that, and
They receive, in Paducah, Kentucky, they receive about 10,000 entries, but they only show about 400 of them. And so we felt lucky that we were even considered to be in. This is an original design that I drafted up, and we coordinated ourselves on whether we liked this or didn't like that, and that's the way we worked the design out. We tried different things, and that's the design we ended up with. It will be shown in American Quilt Society 1990 calendar. 1990 calendar.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Make that commitment on paper, then you make it in your mind. You know, and then you go.
That's the way to work it out.
Yeah, 'cause we'll have to get you girls working together, so that'd be.
And that should be ready to start quilt on, right?
Anyway, I finally got all my fruit room paper, and it's all ready to sit on the shelves.